In my previous lecture, I took the introduction of micro-teaching, the concept of micro-teaching as a whole. In this lecture, I'll elaborate my micro-teaching aspect, micro-teaching content into the various phases of micro-teaching. So to know the various phases of micro-teaching, I have to tell you that these are the same phases in micro-teaching that are in teaching. In teaching, we all know, as I have already taught in the classes, that there are three phases in teaching. The first one is knowledge acquisition phase, the second one is skill acquisition phase, and the third one is transfer phase. So in micro-teaching also, the first phase is knowledge acquisition phase. In this phase, the teacher who is teaching his student teacher, he makes his student teacher know and understand the concept of the skill that he takes in hand to teach, because one skill is taken at a time. So the teacher who is teaching that skill to his student teacher, he tells the theoretical framework, the theoretical concept of that micro teaching skill to the students in class. So he first explains the whole thing about that, the whole all the aspects of that micro teaching skills, the aspects that are involved in that skill. These macro teaching skills are already reduced are already scaled down into one at a time, but because we are giving it a scientific base, we are taking one skill at a time. What do these skills comprise of? What are the verbal and the non-verbal behaviors these skills comprise of? They are being taught in the theoretical way to the students. So the teacher who is teaching this or who is taking up these micro teaching skills one at a time, he delivers the theoretical concepts in front of the teacher, telling the definition, the various characteristics of those macro teaching skills, the various behaviors that are expected when the student teacher is practicing that skill. So these things are being taught in the knowledge acquisition phase of micro teaching. The second phase is skill acquisition phase. This is the experimental phase of this micro teaching cycle, in which everything in the classroom is controlled. The classroom is real, but it is not in the real in the sense that it is a simulated teaching method in which the real students are not in front of you, but you have to imagine the real students and you have to take the skill and you have to perform that skill and make yourself learn that skill. You have to imbibe that skill in your way of teaching. So in the skill acquisition phase, the micro teaching skill, that the theoretical concept that the student teacher has got, he has to practice that skill and he has to practically perform that skill in front of the class, and where he will get many chances of practicing that skill, because he will get regular feedback and regular monitoring of that teaching skill will be done when he will be performing, and when he will be getting regular feedback for that skill, he will again improve it, replan and reteach, and then he will practice it. So in this knowledge acquisition, after this knowledge acquisition phase, the skill acquisition phase makes the student teacher learn the skill practically and perform it he gets the opportunity, the chance to learn it more effectively, so that in the third phase, that is the transfer phase, which is the third phase of micro teaching cycle, he will be able to transform that learning into the transfer phase, into the real classrooms. The transfer phase is the phase where the knowledge acquisition phase and the skill acquisition phase, they will come in play, and whatever learning the student teacher has done in the knowledge acquisition phase and the skill acquisition phase, he will transfer the skill as a whole in his real classroom teaching, and when he will transfer this in his real classroom teaching in front of the real students, in front of the real class, where the time duration is also real, and the duration is not only the duration is real, but the content he has to deliver it properly. He will select the right skill at the right time, which skill has to be used to deliver which type of content. He will do this in his real classroom, and in this he has to use his presence of mind and the way he has to tackle and monitor and control his class. So this is the third phase of skill, where he will transfer the learning that he has done in skill acquisition and knowledge acquisition phase into the real classrooms. So these are the three phases of macro teaching that I have told you, and these three phases, after these three phases, in my next lecture I will be taking up the cycle of macro teaching in detail with you people, and I hope this lecture was very fruitful to you. And if you have any, because I'm there in class also with you people, with you all the students, so if you have any queries regarding anything regarding this lecture, please feel free to ask me, to contact me in my class. I'll tell you in more details if you require it. Thank you very much, my dear students. Thank you.